guest is probably the most famous man in the world, Arthur. And, Jane, he's the man you love to hate. He's specially flown in here because he adores me all the way from Dallas. It's J.R. himself, Larry Hagman. You, Larry. It's possible that famous man has now got multiple fracture. It's possible. But I'm sorry he was being ostentatious with his money, Arthur. He was. We're all as rich as creases on this show. But we don't flaunt it, do we, Arthur? On the contrary. However, in this little commercial break that's coming up, I'm going to have a very serious little maternal word with Larry. That's if he's all in one piece and isn't suffering from multiple fracture. And if he promises to be a good, unostentatious little boy, he's going to be my big guest after this message. I've had a word with him. He's promised to behave himself. I can't wait to have him on the programme. An ovation for Larry Hagman! Come on here.
Hello, darling. How you doing?
Nice to see you.
How you doing?
Marshall.
Nice to see you.
Make yourself very much at home, Larry.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry I ejected you earlier. Wasn't it lovely?
I enjoyed it.
I didn't know. Here's your badge. Madge, the badge. Here it is, Larry, just in case your name slips my memory, which is very unlikely. I'm very excited having you on my show.
Thank you.
And I want to ask you a question because I've heard that you're called the Mad Monk of Malibu.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
why is that?
Well, we live on the beach, and my wife has built jacuzzis, hundreds of them.
Oh.
And to get out, it's very cold sometimes, even in Malibu, in California. So she's made a bunch of robes for us in different colors. I'm sure we'd find something for you.
Oh, I'd love her to run something up for me.
And everybody wears them, and they have hoods on them, and they're nice to have. And so we will romp around on the beach in those robes. So it's called the Priory, or the Mad Monk of Malibu. That's how it's stuck.
Lovely. It looks, perhaps to a foreigner drifting past Malibu, a little bit like a co-educational convent.
Yeah, it is kind of like that, yeah, right. Yeah.
I must say the days, though, in Malibu must melt into each other. They must. What do you do to relieve the occasional boredom?
Well, on occasions, we'll have a parade, you know. I collect flags. I'm a great collector of flags.
Lovely.
And I'll stick 50 or 60 flags out on the beach, and people will come by, and around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, when the wind comes up, we'll go and take a flag and walk down the beach for about a mile, and then have a gong bong, and then walk back again.
I've seen it.
You've been?
I've been to the flag waving.
Yes, have you?
Yeah, I thought he was a rather suspicious neighbour at the time, but we moved house. So.
You were proved right, too, weren't you?
I must ask. I don't know if my hearing deceives me. Did I hear some word beginning with G and B hyphenated? A gong bong, did you say?
Gong bong.
What is a gong bong?
Well, there's a guy named
This
Wade.
is a family show.
I understand. I've seen it. Yes, I know how much of a family you've got here. A gong bong is where you get a couple of hundred people and you all join hands, get in a circle, and you squat down on the sand and you have 10. You count to 10. You go, and you take 10 deep breaths, very deep breaths, and on the 10th one you stand up and you all say gong bong, and everybody faints because you hyperventilate.
My darling, I'm interested to hear that your wife designs jacuzzis because I'm very fond. Have you got a jacuzzi?
Yes, I do, Dame Edna.
Oh, lovely.
Yes. I love jacuzzis. I like putting candles around the outside of them.
Oh. What for, darling? Why not? Why not? You never know when there might be a power failure. I must say, we have a jacuzzi. I want your wife to design me a proper one. We've got a smallish one. I like to have it on my own. But Madge slips in like an alligator. I see her nostrils above the surface. You know, you lose the soap, don't you? You lose it in an ordinary bath. In a jacuzzi, the search is almost impossible. I never know whether it's up my end or up Madge's. I must say, it's usually up hers. Thank goodness for soap on a roast. That's what I... However, do you invite lots of people? I mean, you obviously have these big gatherings of people. Do you have a lot of people in the jacuzzi at once?
Just family.
Oh. How big is it?
30.
30 people in the one jacuzzi?
Yes.
Do you have business associates?
Oh, I always do business in the jacuzzi. I always talk to my... When I used to have agents, I used to have them in there. We'd talk and blah, blah, blah. But I don't have those anymore, so I got rid of all the people who...
So you don't do your business in your jacuzzi?
I don't swim in your toilet, so...
Do you have a lot of people in California, I've found, have shrinks, sort of psychiatric help? You wouldn't need anything like that.
Well, I did for a couple of years, yes. Yes, before I really became... When I really became successful was when I had a shrink. Because I'd been struggling all those years and I didn't know how to stop and so forth.
Was he a help to you, darling?
He was.
Yes, I think they can be if you get the right person.
Oh, yeah, he was.
You need counselling. You need to be able to share with someone, I think.
Yeah, he gave me... when I first walked into his office, as a matter of fact, he says, I'm going to tell you something now, and you may not believe it for a couple of years. Actually, he was saying $100,000 later, but he was right. He said, don't worry, be happy. And that's been my motto. Don't worry, be happy, feel good. And what is yours? Do you have a motto?
Well, that sounds simple, and yet it isn't. It's pretty profound in a way, in a spooky old way. I have a motto. Do you, Jane?
Yes, I suppose so. I mean, I think today is really the first day of the rest of your life.
Yes, there's a lot of sense in that. What about you? Wise old Arthur Marshall.
I have one that was given me by the president of a women's institute, a most wholesome woman. And the motto is, hope for the best, expect the worst, and take what comes.
There's a lot of wisdom here on this show. Well, my mother was a wonderfully wise old woman, and still is to some extent. And she's in a home for the bewildered, by the way. And she once said to me, a little poem. She used to make donuts, and she used to say this little poem. She said, as you pass through life, let this be your goal. Keep your eye upon the donut and not upon the hole. There's a lot of wisdom. Now, think about that for a minute. Think about it. Aren't I good, by the way, not having referred to Dallas all this time? Don't you think?
Why?
What restraint? Well, I don't know. Arthur loves Dallas, don't you,
Oh, I
darling?
love it.
Do you?
Yes, but we'd all wish that you'd make a better breakfast. We very often see you on the terrace of Southfork with a great mound of egg and bacon and things, and you give it a contemptuous look, and you get into the car and you drive off in order to be, beastly to somebody.
Well, once you sat out at 108 degrees at 11 o'clock in the morning in Dallas, you don't want to eat a lot of bacon and eggs, let me tell you. No, you don't want to match either, right?
Right.
Yeah, matching is a difficulty. It's not like this show, you know.
And we have a little bit of trouble in picking out what Sue Ellen has said. Her mouth moves, and it's rather difficult to pick out the words.
Arthur, I asked you to... Please, I asked you to comment, not to tear the show to pieces. I love the plot, though, the story, that dream. You know, when it all turned out to be a dream. Larry, how did that happen? How did that happen?
Well, the ratings were slipping, so... That's how it happened. The producers came to me and they said, what if you think it's a dream? I said, fine. Just fine. They said, do you think the public will go for it? And I said, well, if they don't, we're off the air. And they said, what's the alternative? I said, well, we're off the air. It doesn't make any difference one way or another. And they did accept it, and we're still on the air and doing rather well.
Didn't it pay off, my darling?
Yeah.
It did. But dreams are funny. Do you have funny dreams, do you, Jane?
No, I really don't. And if I did, I don't think I'd dare tell you.
No, not on this show. You, Arthur?
I dream night after night that I'm having breakfast with the Queen on the terrace at Balmoral. She eats enormous quantities of Oxford marmalade.
A sticky dream, I
Just the
suppose.
two of us.
He's obsessed with breakfast, isn't he? He's obsessed with breakfast. You think about breakfast all the time, darling. However, I was getting a little bit metaphysical then, and I don't mean to be. Do you enjoy being a sex symbol?
Yes. At my age, it's wonderful.
I want to ask you something. You knew little Joan Collins many moons ago, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah. And in those far-off days, and by the way, she was absolutely gorgeous.
Still is.
And still is. In those far-off days, a little chemistry might have been a little bit different. And you could have tied the knot with little Joan. You could have.
No. She was 16 and I was 19. There was a lot, and I had to go report to her father and shake hands and get her home at the same time and have a car and stuff like that. In those days, cars were expensive, you know.
But I suppose if
Even
things
more
had
minor.
turned up differently, you know, she wouldn't have been in all the trouble she's in today.
I would have been.
Oh, dear. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Hagman. Hasn't it been gorgeous? So many other things I want to ask you. You know, I want to end with a little musical tribute to you, Larry. A duet. Don't worry, don't look tense. It's a duet for one. But you can cut in if necessary. I know in those lovely old Nelson Eddy and Jeanette MacDonald pictures.
One moment. I brought you a present, and I hope we don't take a lot of time here. But Madge, could you bring us what I brought, Dame Edna, please? I brought you a little hat from Texas.
Oh.
I know. I know you
lovely.
collect hats too, and yes, there you go.
Look at this gift wrapped too.
Yes,
Thanks,
there
Madge.
you are, my darling.
How beautiful. Look, a present from Larry Hagman. How about that? Look at this. I should take it to a gift unwrapping department. Look. Oh, darling, look what I've got, Possum. How about that? Come with me. both, Larry. We are, but I'm going to do most of the singing, and if you feel like coming in, come in, possum. Oh, I'm just wild about Larry, and Larry's wild about me. He's so mean and callous when he's unjealous, but he's nice in reality. He's sweet, just like chocolate candy, and just like honey from the bee. Oh, I'm just wild about Larry, and Larry's wild about me. Now, there's a little bit coming up where you can contribute if you wish, darling. Here we go, coming up right now.
I'm just wild about Edna.
And I'm just wild about you. I've been billing and cooing with J.R. Ewing right through this interview. My heart with ecstasy swelling. It's just too good to be true. So eat your heart out, swelling. 'Cause I'm just wild about, cannot do without. I'm just wild about you.